Hey, what's up, you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. With War of the Planet of the Apes coming out on July 14th, I thought now was a good time to go back and watch the first two films, which includes Rise of the Planet of the Apes as well as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I actually haven't watched Dawn yet, and that's kind of weird because I'll just say right off the bat, I really like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I remember seeing this a few years ago, back when it first came out in 2011, and I was just surprised with how quality of a film this felt like. I haven't really seen much of the original films or like the Mark Wahlberg remake thing, but I gotta say, from what I've seen in both of them, this easily surpasses both of those, I think. Although it's a different take and it's a different style on it and everything, but this series so far anyway just takes a much more grounded and realistic approach to it that feels natural, but also, descends to, it's eventually going to ascend to what we know it for, and I think in just much different, more interesting ways. And Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I have the DVD copy here. I plan on getting both this and Dawn on Blu-ray at some point soon, because visually they're really nice. This one is directed by Rupert Wyatt, and he did a good job. There's some nice shots, especially on the bridge sequence and stuff, just the way the camera moves with the apes, along the bridge at the end, and just the way he shoots, like the redwood scenes of Caesar climbing along the trees and stuff. I thought it looked really good. Although Caesar is CGI, but still Andy Serkis doing the motion capture work and everything like that, and he's very good here. He's really our main star throughout the series. Some people could say, oh, but he's just doing the motion capture, so he doesn't really have to act. But yeah, he does. All of Caesar's expressions and how we can detect his emotions. It's because of Serkis, but also because of their work behind the scenes with the effects and everything too. And CGI does look very good in this movie. I was watching it on DVD, so I kind of wished it was a little bit crisper, but that's my own fault. But as far as the apes go, they still look fairly real. There's only maybe a shot or two where it's ever so slightly off now. But it's still good, and I'm sure it just got better with Dawn and everything like that, and it looks fantastic in the previews for War I've seen coming up. So it's still good here. You also have James Franco in this, and I'm a big James Franco fan. I think he's a very likable and talented actor. And he plays a guy named, let me just make sure, Will Rodman. He's a scientist at this biotech company called Gensis, and they're testing this viral-based drug, ALZ 112, because he wants to find a cure for for some reason I can never pronounce this correctly, Alzheimer's. I know I just butchered that name, I'm sorry. But he wants to find a cure for that because his father has unfortunately been inflicted with that. And although I can't pronounce it, it's a disease that's hit some family members of people pretty close to me. So I understand his cause here. At first it seems a bit inhumane, to test it on the chimpanzees and everything like that, but you get his cause for it, and it seems to be going fairly well. He's there's this one that they nicknamed Bright Eyes and everything like that, until for some reason it snaps, and then it attacks people in the lab. It runs amok, and unfortunately it is put down. But we find out later that it was actually protecting its newborn baby. That's why it was a little bit more aggressive when people tried to reach in to give it its fizzy soda and stuff like that. But anyway, the program is shut down, but once he brings in this baby, it kind of motivates him to press on it again and keep working at it. And this baby's name is eventually Caesar, and he eventually grows. He becomes very, very intelligent, not just solving little puzzles for like they would have in the lab, but also just doing very human-like things. John Lithgow is in this movie as well. He's James Franco's father in this movie. His name's Charles. John Lithgow does pretty well in this movie as well. He does a decent job of playing the subtleties of what he's going through well enough, as well as just his likability when he meets Caesar and stuff. It's kind of cute. Um, and the way Caesar defends him when this neighbor sort of starts yelling at him, almost kind of shoving him, and calling the cops on him, for thinking his car was his, so he tries to get in it. Just things like that throughout the movie. It helps with the bond between Caesar and Will's family, I think. So the characters are all pretty good in this movie. We also have like Brian Cox and Tom Felton as like these animal caretakers at this shelter, where they keep a bunch of chimpanzees, but they treat them very, very poorly. Brian Cox, he was William Stryker in the original X-Men movies, and a lot of people know Tom Felton from the Harry Potter films, which I still haven't seen, but I'm sure my girlfriend will change that at some point. They're both just assholes. And they aren't like the best villains in the world. You don't really get their side of it or anything. They're just kind of dicks. But they're all right. They have their place in the movie to build Caesar up the way they do. And when they eventually have to bring him into that shelter, for defending his father, he meets these other chimpanzees. There's like this alpha that sort of beats him around a little bit, but then Caesar is able to rise up and sort of gain strength from this, and when Will is finally able to come around and get him out of there, he doesn't want to go. He wants to stay because he knows the bond that he's been building with his the rest of his kind, and he wants to get him out of there. And he does, and he's able to give them the rest of the gas to the drug, so it makes them intelligent as well. They break out and they start going around the city. But Caesar isn't wanting to kill humans either. It is them, who start, shooting, bullets and everything like that, and sort of starting all that. You also have Stephen Jacobs. He's the boss of this company. He would support Will's idea when he knew he was gonna make him money. He's one that says they should, find Caesar and shoot him to stop this whole ape revolution, basically. He's kind of like a one-note, sort of antagonist as well. He's just a greedy, businessman. But from what I hear, the villains in the series get a little bit better as it goes, from Gary Oldman and Dawn to, Woody Harrelson's in the new one coming up, so. But, this is okay for now. It's, again, more about Caesar's rise, so it kind of, this serves like a set purpose for what he's going through, I guess. And I do buy into, Will and Caesar's bond in this. One thing I don't really care for is Freida Pinto's character, Caroline. She's this primatologist, who Will brings Caesar to when he's injured at one point. And Will and her to sort of form this bond, and then a few years later we see them and they're together and everything. She just feels sort of unnecessary in the movie. Like, she wasn't like a hindrance in the film. She wasn't like bad or anything. I just felt like the film could have had the exact same story, all the same scenes with or without her. So that wasn't really needed. It felt a little bit out of place, I guess, but it wasn't like a big like a block from the rest of the movie or anything, or what they're trying to do. There's really not much I can go after in this one. James Franco is fine throughout. Like I said, Andy Serkis is awesome as Caesar. There's also this orangutan named Maurice, who's one of his closest allies. You also have Koba, who's one of the latest experiments when Jacobs realizes there's still potential for it to work. And like I said, there's just some really good shots throughout the film, like when they're on the rooftops, they take off the fencing to use, as spears to stop cars and everything. And like I said, the sequence on the bridge is great, as well as when Caesar says no, when they're still in the shelter. When Tom Felton's character is going after him, he just stops him, shuts him down, and says no. It just sounds really cool. And the sequence on the bridge, there's this big gorilla, it sort of looks like a smaller version of like Peter Jackson's King Kong. He ends up throwing Caesar aside to take down his helicopter, and it unfortunately dies afterward, which is kind of a sad, sort of touching moment. And they do head for the redwoods, and Will's trying to get him back. Wants to take him home, but then Caesar says Caesar is home. So it was a pretty good ending, and meanwhile there's still this virus going on because of humans' reaction, to his co-worker Franklin, he's become very sick and he dies, and we see in a mid-credits scene that it's being transported around the world because of this guy's flight to Paris. But yeah, so overall, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, I thought it was a very good movie, a very good start to the series. I have no clue why I haven't watched it on yet, but I will be soon, and I'll be reviewing that as well. And I plan on going to see War in theaters. Pretty close to when it comes out anyway. So let me know you guys thought about the first of these new Planet of the Apes movies. If I had to rate this one, I'd rate it within the range of about a B+ or a A-. Like I said, there's really not much wrong with it, just like the unnecessary human love interest, maybe, and I guess it's I don't know, it's hard for me to come up with anything wrong with it. Just my rating scale sort of based on me thinking of it critically, but also like my general enjoyment out of it. So I'd probably put it closer to about an A-. But yeah, I think it's a very good movie. I was surprised about the quality of the story they were trying to tell in this one. So I highly recommend seeing these movies if you haven't yet. I need to get on it. So yeah, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.